Morning and welcome to the Black Book. The Black Book is a thought leadership speaker series where business leaders and intellectuals from across the industry segments share their experiences of having led businesses and having built businesses. The theme for today's interaction is marketing in the new world. There was a time when television, print, and billboard ads were the gold standard for marketing, and we've seen it everywhere. Companies essentially pushed their name in front of the masses, which is you and I, in an attempt to build brand awareness. But now customers want personalized one-on-one interactions with brands and marketers. And marketers are beginning to see how a targeted approach can stretch their marketing money further and generate greater leads. Now, this essentially changes the whole ballgame. Every successful marketing trend these days stems from knowing one's customers, where they congregate, and how they form trust. Marketers no longer think of campaigns. Instead, they build them around buyers and buyers' needs, the needs of you and I as customers. Personalization has become the key to generating return on investment for one's marketing efforts. Today we have with us Mr. Ankur Goyal. Now, Mr. Goyal is the founder of &Me Beverages. Mr. Goyal will chat with us for the next 45 minutes or so about what it's like to create and then market a product in the new world. Mr. Goyal is an MBA. He's an MBA graduate from Stanford, and he's also an alumnus of IIT-Delhi. He's passionate about the Indian consumer industry and has had extensive experience in the food and beverage industry in India. Interestingly, his previous experiences in the industry include setting up an R&D center for Nestle and working on new product development for Brand Maggi. Yep, our favorites, Maggi as kids growing up. He has also played an instrumental role at PaperBoat in setting up a factory at Mysore, handling new product innovation and introducing new production technologies for PaperBoat. He also helped set up the first customer brand-focused venture capital firm, Fireside Ventures. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with &Me, here's a little bit of insight. You're probably seeing a little while ago, you had those products displayed on the screen as well. Now, interestingly, &Me is a women's health brand with a vision to empower women with health by solving her unique functional needs. &Me started as a result of Mr. Goyal's quest to find a solution for the widespread nutritional deficiency of women in India. He started Meraki Foods, which is the parent company of &Me, in September 2017. Now, &Me's current portfolio includes 5 women's health drinks, including India's first ever range of PMS drinks, which helps women combat premenstrual symptoms of bloating, cramps, and mood swings. Theirs is also the first ever PCOS/PCOD drink aimed at maintaining hormonal balance and a beauty range focusing on healthy hair and skin from within. Now, that's good news for all the women here. &Me is leading the effort in driving awareness on women's nutritional health through their strong partner network of dietitians, nutritionists, and influencers. Now, &Me was recognized as India's top 6 best managed innovative startup enterprises of the year at the India Leadership Conclave 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, with a warm round of applause, please welcome Mr. Ankur Goyal.
Hey.
Thank you. Have a seat. Are we giving samples away?
You can.
You can.
Yeah, you can try. Which one do you want?
All right. Oh, but it wouldn't have any side effects on me, right? Because it's intended for the women.
You can still try, although you won't get the same benefits as the women will get,
okay.
but you can still try it. There's no like hormones in it, so it's fine.
I'm feeling a whole lot better now. All right. Let's get this conversation started with the origins of &Me for myself and everybody, right? What inspired you to start &Me?
So while I was graduating from Stanford, my mom visited me for my convocation, and that's the first time when I realized like mom has difficulty walking. I was in US for 2 years, so I was not connected to her, and when I started talking to her like what's the problem, she talked to me about osteoporosis, calcium deficiency, um, and why we started at me is because like the way she was consuming the product that was given to her by her nutritionist, dietitian, and gynecologist was like she had a powder which she'll have in a shot glass, mix it, and took it as a shot. And it was interesting for me to see that because my father would have the same thing, like mixing it like a Bonvita or a Complan and drink it like sip by sip. And when I asked my mom, she was like, okay, I hate the taste. I don't like milk. I don't like curd. And there is no other way to take this calcium powder. So that's where I started looking out in US for something different where she can get her calcium, her iron in the market. And what I realized was there's nothing which was not a pill or a powder format that could help her. And that's where we started NME, right? Like to solve for the calcium and iron need for my mom, and that like changed into to solve for the calcium and iron need for the women in India. Interestingly, if you see, 50% of Indian urban women are anemic, which is like deficiency of iron. Around 70% of Indian women has chances of osteoporosis, like pain in the leg, lack of calcium, lack of vitamin D. And there is no other brand who is focusing on it. There are like a few, but like brand extensions. But there is no single brand who is actually studying women's physiology, women's psychology, and creating products for them. And that's where we started.
Okay, well, that's interesting. And given that this is a product, of course, there's an elaborate process, right, from ideation to execution. Just talk us through the entire process that you went through for Me.
So I do come from food and beverage background, right? So like with Nestle, you do learn a lot of nutrition, whether you want it or not. Like you have to. And with PaperBoat, the exposure to food industry, the beverages, it did help me a lot. Although we started as a calcium and iron company, soon while talking to the consumers, what I realized was it's not the ingredient that they're looking for, it's the functionality. Okay, what do calcium do to my body? Can I solve for that? So a lot of, when I did, like, I think I talked to over 200 consumers, 200 female consumers, very focused. I realized that if I could solve for functionality between them, for them, it will help. So few things that come up for us was most women talk to me about, can you please solve for period problems? Can you please just make it 5% easier for me during that time? So that was like the biggest highlight for me. And what started as a calcium and iron company shifted very specifically into a menstrual health and an overall functionality driven company. That was the starting point, just to get the idea onboarded. Then comes like who will do the research. We got the best dietitians and nutritionists in the country. We got the FSSI leader who were writing the thesis around including Ayurveda in food. We got like previous R&D directors of Unilever to come together and start developing the product for us. All what started as an idea, we went through, did a lot of research, did a lot of integration between different ingredients and interactions, both negative and positive, between different ingredients. Because for us, Ayurveda is not alone sufficient, nutrition is not alone sufficient, and we need to mix together. So when we did a lot of research with Ayurveda and nutrition together, we realized like the power has increased multifold. And that's where we started. And then I think beverage making is standard. You just need to like tweak processes to get to the market, and that's what we did. So till the process, till the product is ready, you are all like obsessed about the product only. And once that is done, then it comes to the marketing and the sales and the consumer and everything.
Now, of course, your product's ready, and you've done some trials. It looks good and it tastes good as well. Now, talk us through the product placement process.
So when we started, or when anybody start, I think like the biggest thing to understand is the need. Is there a need for the product? And how can you think about it is if there is a need, there is a market, right? Like if you can figure out, okay, do people want to go to moon? And if there are enough people who do want to go to moon, you know that there is a need for that and you will create a market for it. So that was the first fundamental for us. And the second one for me was, okay, there is a need. Can I make money out of it? Right? Like if you're running a business, you do want to make money out of it. So these are two questions I always ask while evaluating any new product or evaluating this idea. Then comes the second part of it. Where do we place it? What the price needs to be? Who is the consumer for us? And I think the difficulty with us being a women's health brand was placement. Considering a consumer brand which is heavily, heavily driven by brick and mortar store, where the retailers are male, it's very difficult to push a brand which is female. Consider sanitary napkins. The penetration is less than 20%, right? Still heavily driven offline brand, but still the penetration is low. Retailers are now very open to talk about sanitary napkins to their consumers. Earlier they were not. On top of that, there's a hygiene brand, which has no shelf anywhere in the store, which is talking about women's hygiene, women's health, women's menstrual health, and retailer has to push it. Most retailers push us as, oh, it's a juice for women, right? Like, and a juice for women does not sound right to a consumer. So how do you change that? So it took us a lot of time to get the placement right in the store. I think what we cracked right was we went to the retailers, give them samples of the product and told them to try it with their mother, sister, and wives. And what we realized, the return, the conversion was huge. It was a huge success for us because retailers realized when the women in their household was telling them, yes, I benefited from the drink, they were like, yes, I can sell it. And that's how we went about it. Although we are still placed in juice aisle, but vision-wise, we want to create our own aisles where women's health is the lead and where we are there, but also there are 100 other brands who are coming and solving for women's health. That was the first part. Coming to the pricing, I think that's always a key question, like what's the product, what's the placement, what's the pricing, right? Like the key 3 Ps of your marketing. I think pricing is very much dependent on, so there are 2 ways to pricing, and I'm pretty sure like a lot of MBA student knows, like you go bottoms up, you know, like this is my cost, this is what the margin I want to make, this is the margin I have to give to the retailer, and that's the landing price for me, right? And then the second way is, okay, what's the other competitor? With us, the biggest problem is there is no competition. How do you realize what you want to place it at? So we went on with the bottoms-up approach. Okay, this is the product price which is coming out to be, and this is the margin we want to get on. This is what we want to give it to our consumers or our retailers, and that's the landing bottom price one. So that's how we went about it. But it's also good to go through what the competitor is selling at, and then you like benchmark against it.
Okay, so your products now retailing as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are in around 500 stores in 3 cities, Bangalore, Pune, and Mumbai.
All right, and then when you do retail, people can pick up individual bottles. I don't think that's the case when they buy off online portals.
Yes, so in retail, people can pick up individual bottles, which is a big challenge because if you drink one bottle, you don't get the benefits. We are still struggling. We are still figuring out the ways to make sure that women are taking drinks in bulk so that they can actually see the benefit. Like for our PMS drink, we do say you start at the onset of your PMS, go to the end of the cycle. Then only you can start seeing the effects. But you can't have just one bottle and think it's a magic drink and you'll get it solved. This is somewhere we are struggling, but I think online we have cracked it. Like women understand it. Very targeted marketing, very targeted communication. So you can read about it a lot, and then you will pick up. Like we are seeing a lot more pack of 30s, pack of 8 going out, rather than like 1 bottle or 2 bottles.
Ayurveda, as we're all aware, is ancient science, right? So how do you take something that's as old as Ayurveda and make it relevant for the consumers of 2019?
Cool. I don't think Ayurveda has not been sexy or been famous. I think the most difficult part of Ayurveda is convenience, right? Where would you find like 10 herbs, then you'll extract it out, then you'll juice it, make a concoction, and then drink it, right? So the biggest problem with Ayurveda was convenience. And I think whatever said and done, but Patanjali has done a wonderful job in getting that convenience out and getting it to the consumers, right? For us, Ayurveda was a leading principle, but it's also combined with nutrition. So how are you going to get both of these things together in the same product, right? And for us, it's not just selling Ayurveda, it's about selling functionality. For us, if I can solve for a PMS or a PCOS or a hair fall, I don't mind whether I take Ayurveda, I take nutrition, I take modern science, I take Chinese medicine. I don't mind any of that. I want to make sure that I'm solving for the functionality. And that's where we have been focusing on. That's what we have been doing. Ayurveda just helps us a lot because like naturotherapy or naturopathy, like all these sciences are true. But since the lifestyle has changed, you can't just rely on them. Like right now, we are sitting a lot more on computers. So your eyes are tense, your knuckles, your hands are always like in a cramped position. So you do need to evaluate. Like when Ayurveda was developed, there was 6 seasons and there was 1 occupation. But now there are like hundreds of occupations, reducing seasons to 4 now. So it's very important to understand that you can't just like pick Ayurveda and place it anywhere. You have to adopt it with the modern way. And that's what we did. And now selling it to the young consumer or making it like appeal to them, I think it's just a lot about positioning, how you're going about it. We do talk about a lot of natural ingredients from Ayurveda. We do talk about a lot of benefits of Ayurveda and how it helps you. And then making it tasty as well. Like Ayurvedic herb, if you taste ashwagandha, put it on your tongue, even you drink a bottle of water, the bitterness won't go away. So how do you make it like tasty enough so that consumers can pick it up?
Yeah.
Considering the new generation, I think like, and I now consider myself old as well, I think this instant gratification piece has become huge. Like you do need to give that instant gratification. For us, we try to give that instant gratification by taste. Because your delayed gratification, which is the health, will only be visible once you start like consuming the product for a longer duration. So you do need to crack that instant gratification by taste.
Sure.
And that's what we do.
Yeah, but so is this a lifestyle product that they're consuming, or they're picking it up purely for its medicinal supplements, right? So talk a little bit about that positioning.
I think we are at a razor sharp line there. Like if we like shift slightly, we'll fall into nutraceutical. If we slide slightly this side, we'll fall into the food. But the whole idea was that popping pills is not Indian culture, right? Like we do not want to pop pills. But we can have the same pill dissolved in milk and drink it, right? We can have the same pill dissolved in water and drink it. So the idea was, okay, can I just like get that benefits, the health benefits, the functionality of this medical side into food? And that's how we are doing it, right? So you don't have to think of it as a medicine. You can always think of it as a lifestyle thing. Food is thy medicine, like the famous quote, and that's where we are playing it. Like we want to make food self-sufficient, that you don't have to go to pills, you don't go to powders. It's like more preventative. Ayurveda is preventative, right? Like it's more preventative. If you are drinking juice, get and me, which is juice plus plus. You get juice, all the benefits of it, plus the functional benefits, plus the indulgence, plus whatever like mood upliftment that you require. So that's the whole idea. That's the whole positioning that we are doing. So it's more lifestyle, I'll say. But it's very difficult to define like lifestyle and medicinal two separate. We are like a combination of both.
Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? Marketing, right? You've got your product demographics, target demographic defined. What sort of marketing campaigns have you conducted so far?
So we started with a lot of marketing campaigns. We thought like just talking about women empowerment and talking about like and me will help. What we realized, when you start up, the major focus is product. Everything about you is product. It's not about your ideology matters, but that's in-house. Like for me, my ideology matters. So if I make products, but that's not marketing. When you're talking to your consumer, the first in is facts. You have to define the product's facts very clearly. My product do this, my product do this because of this, my product do this because of that. Like you have to get that clear. And that's where we realize that one thing we have to do very significantly is clearly communicate what my product does to women's health. And that's what we have done. And but beyond that, the consumers who are already with us, they also want to know what our values are, what we believe in, what we are going to do for the society. A very simple question a lot of consumers ask us, okay, What about plastic? You are using so much plastic in your products, right? So it's very important for us also to be and it is part of marketing, right? Like anything that you do in house is somehow getting reflected outbound as well. We do make sure that if we are putting 10 tons of plastic in the market, we are also collecting back 10 tons of plastic. Whether it's our bottle or some competitor bottle or some plastic package, but we do make sure that. And we do create a lot of awareness campaigns around it. Like recent campaign we did is about unstoppable. So it started with our bottle, like our bottle makes you unstoppable. You don't have to you don't have to take a leave when you are on periods. You don't have to skip offices. You don't have to be on your bed when you're on periods, right? So you can actually just pick up our bottle, drink it and be unstoppable. So we did talk to a lot of celebrities. We did talk to Archana from Facebook. We talked to a sports star. We talked to industry like Bollywood celebrities. So we went out and talked to them how periods uh, got them like back and how did they fight it. So that was one of the campaign. It worked wonders for us. People realized what our values are. Recently, we are running another campaign is period pain is not okay. And the whole reason for that campaign is women starts menstruating from the age of 12, right? And it's just that it is something that will happen with me every month and I'm okay with it, right? Like whether it's the pain or it's the problems, but I'm fine with it. And we have been in that situation from so long that it's just ingrained in us that period pain, wo to hota hi hai. Like it's there, right? So we started like period pain is not okay. If you are feeling pain, you need to do something about it. You can be more comfortable. Be with our drinks or be with something else. But you have to feel comfortable. It's not okay. And so that's another campaign that we are running. But more of these campaigns are just to engage our current consumers. For all the new consumers, the first thing that we want to get in with is facts. My product does this, and this is what it is. It has no sugar, it has no preservatives, it is good for you, it has 15 micronutrients, it has 5 herbs, all the facts out there, so that consumers understand. So first point of conversation is that, second point of conversation is the emotions that you bring in, and now the third point when we'll get in, we'll like start doing a lot more, getting their feedback and creating drinks for them.
Are you thinking of product diversification at this stage, or are you putting that off for a bit later?
So we are coming up with the products because we do want them to like stop eating anything unhealthy and start shifting to something healthy. So diversification, I think diversification is key. For any FMCG brand, you do need to realize when you are at the top or when you are growing, that's a time where the consumer is going to experiment with you. So do come up with small products. There is like this whole concept of LTV, lifetime value of a consumer. You can't have an LTV in a consumer product with one product. You do need to like give a small burst of indulgences in between so that that LTV curve is like broken down into small curves like continuously to make a larger curve. So we are thinking of diversification. We are coming up with teas. We are coming up with more formats so that we can actually help a consumer, both in price point, in indulgence, and different offerings.
That also now means that your supply chain has to be so much more vast. You're not just dealing with Ayurvedic products. You've got to source cocoa and a few other ingredients as well. Talk us a little bit about how you intend to keep your supply chain as well oiled as it should be.
Yeah, so biggest challenge with consumer brands is supply chain, right? Like nobody will give you, okay, you make 10 kg of this product, you get 1 kg of cocoa. Like you have to buy in bulk. You have to manage that, okay, like some of our ingredients come from Spain, some come from Brazil, some come from Italy. You have to manage like nothing is getting stuck at imports. You have maintaining the timelines. I think we have been doing a fairly good job, but we do have challenges. I think the main point for us, like, and I have a rock star, like Kailash, who's been constantly calling. He has around 20 transporter in every city in India. He'll just go to India Mart, talk to the transporter, get him in his Rolodex. He'll just write it down in the transporter. You need to have so many connects in the industry just to manage the supply chain. We have for every single ingredient 3 vendors, 3 partners who will support us with the same ingredient. And we do test each ingredient. So consider like a drink with 30 ingredients, right? And you have 90 partners who can supply the 30 ingredients, and you still have to make sure that none of the ingredients change the taste of the drink. So just a lot of work. I think just creating good processes, making sure that your team is following those processes, making sure your vendors are following those processes helps. So we have a whole like in-house developed supply chain management too, where we actually write down, okay, where is the product, how much time does it take. We have mapping of all the timings. We still struggle on matching those timelines because a lot is dependent on your partners. But I think just having the visibility in future that this is what we'll need helps a lot. And we are trying to work on a 6-month schedule, which is like we have visibility of 6 months and then moving forward with that.
It is, in effect, fair to assume that the bulk of your sales are coming online,
Yeah.
right? So how do you decide what portion of it you still continue pushing out via brick and mortar? Because you're selling far more online.
As a businessman, I think of it like if I'm spending 10 lakhs on my offline, I get a 10 lakhs of sales offline, right? Like it's as simple as for me. My reason for offline is to be credible, to be present, right? Like a lot of, and this is like this sad of Indian logistics that it takes 8 days for a consumer who orders from us to get the product. And so that's the reason why offline works is that one of our consumer recently mailed me and they were like, oh, I started the PCOS drink and it's helping me so much, but I ordered 8 bottles because I wanted to try it out and see how the taste is. But now I want to order 30 bottles. Can you please connect it in 2 days so that my cycle does not break? It just becomes difficult, right? You can't connect it in 2 days with also a beverage, right? That's where my Mumbai's sales team helped because we were in Mumbai. She was from Mumbai. We told her, you can go to this store and actually pick up as many bottles as you want, and then in the meantime, we'll do it. So that's where we want to enable our online through offline. Once you know, you don't want to wait. Like every single person in this hall between us don't want to wait. If I want a product, I want it now. And that's where Amazon and Big Basket and like all the hyper local chains are coming in. Like, oh, you just thought of something, 2 hours I'll deliver it to you. So offline helps there, and we want to make sure that we are also present offline. How much sale is coming from it, that doesn't matter. What matters for me is, are we present everywhere? Can my consumer reach me if they are in dire need of my product? Can they go to a store and pick it up? And that's where we are channeling offline. Online is where we are driving a lot more growth, driving a lot more conversation, driving a lot more awareness.
And then talk us through some of your initial pitfalls, challenges that you might have faced.
So rightly said, like it's not at all sexy. Like it does look very like you are always in limelight and you are doing all the awesome thing that you want to do. Because what we see as entrepreneurs is only successes, right? Like you see Flipkart, you see Elon Musk, you see Sachin Bansal, you see Ola. You always see success. You don't see like the thousands of companies that are shut down. Beyond that, as a founder, the amount of stress you are in all the time is just phenomenal. I think the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur that you face is the decision lethargy. Like I think I make almost 1,000 decisions a day, 1,000 decisions continuously, and you are not even sure like whether all those 1,000 will be correct or not, and all the onus is on you. If the decision is wrong, it's your problem. If the decision is right, it's not your win, right? Like so it's always like you are always in the back end. You are always like running the show, but you are always afraid. So the fear is the major thing during entrepreneurship. Like if you can just control that and move on with that, that helps a lot. So that fear creates stress. That fear creates all the problems in your life. So that's one. The second biggest one is like you just get so obsessed with your ideas, you don't let them go. Even if you are hearing, even if like 100 women in this panel and they call me and they're like, I think your product is really bad. I don't get any benefit. You just get so obsessed, you don't want to get rid of it. I think like that's another big thing. just be okay with change. And as an entrepreneur, that's the most important thing. Be okay with change. You need to iterate. I don't know if some of you might have seen our website or if you have visited it. We had a bottle with like a totally unique bottle, which is flat with a hole in it. I think that that pushed us 6 months back. Where we are right now, we would have been 6 months before, because that bottle has a lot of challenges, and because of my like I was adamant enough now not to let go of it. I was like, no, my consumer buy me because of the bottle and not because of this. But what we realized is not the bottle, it's the product, it's the benefits that they're getting. And if I would have accepted that 6 months back, we would have been at at a totally different trajectory right now. So just to be aware about what, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, your biases are, and getting rid of them is also help. So these are two things which just push you back and make you more and more stressed. And I don't think like your life needs to be stressed. Like get few basics, get a right team in place, get a founder, a co-founder who is with you, who you can talk to, or get married, like whatever, like a partner in your personal life or a professional life, and just be open to the idea of change, be open to the idea of fear. You like one need not be always right about his decisions, right? Like I don't think I'm right every single time, and I am okay with that. And I think that's the best way uh, to just channel, just to like navigate entrepreneurship in your life.
Right. As students, of course, what are some of the initial skills that you'd recommend that student entrepreneurs pick up at an early stage?
So in like all skills are divided into hard or soft skills, right? Like so forget all the hard skills. If you want to do entrepreneurship, develop a lot more of your soft skills. First one is grit, right? Like grit and persistence. Like you need to develop that. If you don't have persistence, you will end up giving. Like I have woken up crying, and I was like, what am I doing here? I could have been in US and have been like the best job in the industry and just like enjoying my life. And here I am earning like minimum basic salary and just doing something which is not even working. My bottles are going bad. My quality is not helping me. Have the grit. Like if you cry and then stand up and then go to office and then still smile in front of your employees, that's the best thing that's the one thing that you are going to have during entrepreneurship. That's the most important skill that you need to have. The second skill is the skill of listening, right? Be open. Be very, very, very open. Whether it's listening to your consumers, whether it's listening to your partners, whether it's listening to your employees, whether it's listening to the to your biggest enemy. Like just listen. Listen, don't speak. And that's the most important part. And I think like what helped me a lot is that I listen. Right? Like if you talk to me, if you tell me 100 things, I'll keep a mental note of it. I'll go down, write it down on a Google Doc and keep and remember it. And then like do cross everything which does not make sense, but do write and take an action on everything that makes sense. And I think that's another second point that's very important for. And third is don't go for entrepreneurship if it's for limelight. Go for entrepreneurship if you are solving a need. Find out a need. Like don't do and like if you don't have a need which is differentiated enough, 100 other players will come and kill you. Like you have to find a need which can be differentiated with which can be differentiated and which is differentiated, which you are passionate about of solving, right? And that's where like Tesla and like Elon Musk, like he was passionate about solving for space travel, and he is doing that. And there is a need, right? Like considering how environment is changing and how everything is changing in the world, there will be a need where we have to explore space. So he is obsessed about it and he is doing that. So find a need which you are obsessed about. And lastly, if you really want to make business, and where I disagree with Tesla is like, can you make money out of it, right? Like, can you make money out of it? Because at the end, you have to survive and you have to make it sustainable. If you can't make money, it's not sustainable. Then whether the need exists or not, you're not going to solve it if you die. So just make sure that the fourth point is you understand that you can make something out of it, so that the whole need is sustainable and you can keep solving it for future.
And you, of course, went to some of the best schools on the face of the earth, as it were, right? You went to IIT Delhi, and of course, you went to Stanford, right? Were there any things, was there something that you picked up in either of these schools that helps you deal with that decision making every day or anything at all?
I think IIT was the key for my grit. I think the kind of hostels you live in, the daily challenges you face, be it's a wholesome development. Like, be part of a lot of extracurricular activities, be part of sports, be part of academics. Like, I was part of all the three things, and like balancing all these three things, you realize when you are running a company, you are actually balancing all. You're balancing your partners, you're balancing your investors, you're balancing your employees, then you are balancing your family as well, and it just like helps a lot to like understand this. And IIT has been very very instrumental in that for me. I think Stanford, what it helped me with is just the overall personality. Like, how do you approach a problem? Like, the structured thinking, understanding your consumers. Like, Stanford is very very big on empathy. Just understand your consumer, talk, listen, like all the soft skill that I'm talking about. And like, sorry to say, but like, Indians are really really bad in soft skill. Like, when I reached Stanford, I was like, why is this guy talking to me like so softly? And I think that changed in me completely. Just to just to understand where the other person is coming from. We talk about it a lot in Stanford, is understand where the person is coming from. Like, don't jump to conclusion. You tell me, oh, what's wrong with entrepreneurship, and I was like, oh, why do you think like there's something wrong with me? But like, understand where are you coming from? What's the need? Why is that person asking you that question? Gives you a lot more insights, right? Like, what's the intent? And I think that's doing that with our consumer for us has helped us a lot to get the best product out there, and to keep inventing, keep changing. And I think both the colleges, and also, yes, name helps, right? Like, names helps in getting the meetings, to open the doors with venture capitalists, with vendors, with some of the big chains, retail chains. So name helps, but I think more than that, the two things, the grit and the soft skills, helped me more.
In the interest of time, we will pause at this. Thank you very much, Mr. Goyal, for coming over and having a chat with us.